we're on track to do very, very well this year. I'll just say that.
Ooh, look, don't tell the IRS.
Real,
Don't tell the IRS. No, I'm
well,
messing.
they gonna come for me regardless. I've already accepted that.
Cope be pocket watching. You got to Cope always pocket watch.
That's what they do with it. NFL. They put it on Google.
I didn't mix my with Fago. Stack my money up like Legos. Back me when I say so. Pull up in the spotlight. Pull up in the drop.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Copeland, aka Professor Cope, and as always, I'm with my dog Ross Mack. How you living, baby?
Yes, sir, Ski, man. Hope everybody having a great new year. Let's get it.
Ooh, let's get it. Let's get it. So we have the pleasure today. First and foremost, I'm always inspired by people. Ross knows. Ross think I get too emotional. You know, he just, he's too tough. Chicago dudes. You know what I'm saying? He think I get too emotional, but I love seeing people go and create the lives that they want. Mm-hmm. I love seeing people say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to just be a robot. I'm not going to do what they told me to do. I'm going to use my brain and I'm going to put plays together, put the puzzle together, and I'm going to create the life that I want. And so scrolling through the gram, subject to it, scrolling through the gram, I see this amazing young woman sitting there talking about she's on vacation making 4 to 5 figures a month. Oh, hold up. Hold up. I gotta look into this, right? So we have the pleasure today of having Annalisa on here. Just Annalisa on all social media. Elevated Assist. We're going to dive into the details and dive into her life. But first and foremost, Annalisa, we got to check in with our guest today. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm doing amazing. I'm blessed. No complaints over here. No complaints.
There we go.
It's a beautiful day in Dallas. So
I was about to say, are you on vacation right now? That's the question we need to know. Are you on vacation right now? But it sounds like you in Dallas. That might be home base.
every day is like a vacation for me.
Okay. No more. That's when you know you're blessed.
But no, I'm home. I'm not out the country or anything.
There we go. So. There we go. Well, I want to, I don't want to butcher your introduction. I want to let our audience know who you are, but I want to start at the beginning. I don't want to start with Elevated Assist. I don't want to start with the Instagram. I don't want to start with the followers and the coaching business, right? Like, who is Annalisa, right? Where are you from? What gave you this mindset to see the world for what it could be, for its potential?
For sure. So my name is Annalisa, as mentioned, just Annalisa on all social media platforms. And I'm actually originally from Louisville, Kentucky. I moved to Dallas from Ohio last year. And it's really been up from that. So even before I started my business, Elevated Assist within the virtual assistant space, before that, I was always big on having multiple streams of income. I was always big on working smarter and not working harder. So how can I maximize the amount of money I can make with being able to work less or even monetize the current skill set that I have? So kudos to social media. They've led me to some amazing relationships, business opportunities with people that have really taken my business to the next level. So yeah, I do a little bit of everything, but mostly people know me for being within the virtual assistant space.
Awesome. So now Louisville, Kentucky, in Dallas, and that, like you said, most people know you for the virtual assistant space. I don't want to limit you, right? Like, Ross over here, he's the type of guy, he used to tell me just shut up and tackle. Like, and I was trying to do different things off the field. He was just trying to limit your boy, but I don't want to limit you. But can you talk about what your 9 to 5 is, right? I don't know if you want to get into it, right? But like what it is, and then what made you say, all right, like I'm going to find something else.
For sure. So my background, my master's degree is in healthcare administration. So I always knew I want to work in healthcare. Healthcare business made the most sense to me. Business just made more sense to me. Originally, I went to school to go pre-med, but I just did not understand being in school that long and not really making any money until my late 30s, early 40s. Like, that was just crazy to me. I was just like, yeah, it's not for me. And then I job shadowed a couple of physicians, and I was just like, it's actually kind of boring to me. So I learned more about healthcare administration. And then my first, I guess, a big girl job after grad school, I was making like $52,000 a year. And I was like, ain't no way on this salary, like, I can do what I want to do. And I always tell people that God didn't create me to live a basic life. So I'm going to always be able to do something. I never want money to be a reason why I can't live the life I want to live. So I've always been big on like multiple streams of income. So I've always had either a 9 to 5, 40-hour a week job, or I might have a part-time retail job that I consider like my fun money. So when I guess entrepreneurship really grew on me was really during the pandemic, where I just had extra time on my hands. I was working as a healthcare administrator at the time, and then I started investing in real estate. So I had a tenant. So those were my two primary streams of income. And then someone on Instagram reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you do admin work?" And I was just like, when I read that, first of all, we don't know each other personally. We just knew each other from social media. We had a lot of mutual friends on Instagram, and I was just like, "Oh, this sounds like another stream of income. Like, it sounds pretty basic. Let me see what it's about." The thing that I loved is that this person paid me before I did any work for them. Before I was able to show that I can actually do the work, they paid me. And then that week I was sending emails, I was posting on their social media account, and I made like $1,000 the first month. So I was just like, I was barely working like 10 hours a week. And then I had my 9 to 5, I had real estate income, and then I had this virtual assistant opportunity. So after the first month, I was like, I'm about to make this a real business. I'm about to tell other people about my virtual assistant business to see if other entrepreneurs need virtual assistants. So about 60 days after that first month, I was making $5,000 a month working with 3 different clients that I've never met before, all from social media. And that just kind of took my business to the next level, and everything has just grown and blossomed since then.
So let's take a step back, right? When we're talking to the audience, I think not a lot of people have a good understanding of what a virtual assistant is. So how would you explain that to someone who literally knows nothing about it?
For sure. So a virtual assistant, I like to describe it to people, is basically similar to maybe a personal assistant, but you're working virtually. You complete admin tasks, secretarial duties, day-to-day small tasks, and your clientele and the people that pay you are usually, whether it's executives or small business owners. So most of my clientele are small business owners. So I've worked with CPAs. We have people on our team that actually work with athletes. We work with lawyers. We work with business influencers. Pretty much everybody can utilize a virtual assistant, especially if they had a busy schedule and they're looking to delegate small tasks throughout the day.
So is it possible to not disclose in a client for that matter, but like what would a day-to-day look like for just make up a type of client, but like give us an idea of like what is the type of communication you're doing on their behalf, who you talking to, etc.
For sure. So within the virtual assistant space, you can be working with one client and it still be part-time hours. So your day-to-day could be in conjunction with your 9 to 5 work. So like when you're reaching out to one of your clients in the morning, say, "Hey, I'm completing this task for the day. Do you need me to take anything off your plate?" Initiating that conversation on a day-to-day basis, completing those tasks. So it's not a lot of interaction as long as you set the tone and the expectation in the beginning of what actually needs to be completed. So for me, it was a lot of redundant work that I completed for a lot of clients. So there will be days I don't talk to my client at all, but they know that work is being completed. So it's something you can do with another business. It's something you can do in conjunction with your 9 to 5, or you can replace your 9 to 5 income with being a full-time virtual assistant and having multiple clients.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so, this conversation, I'm just learning. I'm jotting down notes. That's all I'm doing up here. So it's gonna go all over the place, and you're gonna have to forgive me for that. But when we talked about healthcare administrative services or healthcare administration, right? I didn't butcher that, right? Was there any skill set that you gained through that experience that you're able to apply to your VA business, or is it just your natural abilities, gifts, charisma, etc., that allowed you to start your VA business?
For sure. So I think with any experience that people have from a career standpoint, there's always transferable skills you can transfer into another capacity. For me, in my background, again, with healthcare administration, it's really the business side of healthcare. So there's definitely transferable skill sets, qualities that I can transfer into my business. And on a day-to-day basis within my 9 to 5, I work with CFOs all day. That's pretty much what I do. So I'm obviously able to gain some knowledge from them from a financial standpoint. But you don't have to have a master's degree. You don't have to have a bachelor's degree to make 4 to 5 figures a month as a virtual assistant. I would say if you have basic customer service related skills, you can do the work as a virtual assistant. I always tell people, you know how to send an email, you don't have to put a PowerPoint presentation together. These are really, really common tasks that pretty much everyone this day and age knows how to do. Things that you would do as a virtual assistant for a client.
I was gonna say you also touched on real estate. So obviously, clearly, just a entrepreneurship mindset, right? And so I think it's you look at certain people and you're kind of like it's a matter of time before you find anything that you're gonna turn into a business and monetize, right? So like. Tell us about. I'm into real estate. I love real estate. You gotta tell me about the property, your first rental, and everything like that. What was that process like?
For sure. So I always wanted to have a multifamily unit of some sort. When I was in college, I just remember living off campus, and all of these people would send their rent to this one guy, and I was just like, this is crazy. Like this don't make sense to me. I was like, when I graduate college, I'm gonna do something like this. So when I moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, which in Ohio you generally have a lot of multifamily units available. So I was just like, this is my opportunity to maybe house hack for a couple of years and then transition to something else. So my first property is it's a duplex I still have in Ohio, and I lived on one side for 2 years, and I still I rented out the other side. And then when I moved to Dallas, I was just able to rent out the side that I lived in. So yeah, I would say my brother oversees the property. It's pretty passive for the most part. My tenants leave me alone. So yeah, they kind of started everything, and the overall goal, yeah, knock on wood, knock on wood. The overall goal is to expand my real estate portfolio when it's appropriately. So, yeah, I will likely probably buy in Ohio and Kentucky, I think.
Okay,
All right.
love it.
All right. Midwest, I ain't mad at it. So, question, right? When you were thinking about being a virtual assistant, and so I love one of the things you were saying is like early on, I realized I want to have multiple streams of income, right? Having only one stream of income is too close to having zero. So if you are looking at a person or talking to a person who has a job, right, a normal 9 to 5, and you're like, yo, this easy money, you could start becoming a VA. Explain like the type of time commitment that is going to be, right? Like you say sometimes it might be 10 hours a week, but like, is that me answering emails and setting up meetings after I get off work? Or is sometimes the task so trivial you could do it while being technically on the clock for your other 9 to 5?
Well, I always tell people, yeah, that's a great question. I always tell people like I get 80% of the work so right now I oversee the agency. I don't work with clients directly anymore.
Okay.
I have VAs that work under me. But before, when I was just a virtual assistant by myself, I could get 80% of the work done on my phone. I could be on a remote call from my 9 to 5 and then responding to a quick text with one of my clients, and they're like, hey, send some flowers to my mother's house for Mother's Day. I can do that in 2 seconds. So it's not a lot of these tasks that need to be completed for these busy entrepreneurs. It's just stuff that they don't have time to do or they don't want to do. So they're willing to pay to delegate it to someone else. A lot of the items are not really, really lengthy. Obviously, it depends on the client. It depends on the industry. It depends on what their workload looks like. But for the most part, I mean, you can finesse and do things while you're on your 9 to 5 call with your phone, because there's a lot of apps compatible on your cell phone. But also, these clients, they pay for, and this is how I teach my students, they pay for certain packages. So most of the people who I've allocated 10 hours a week for, you're paying for 10 hours a week. You're not paying for 30 hours a week.
Facts.
Unless you want to increase that package. So it's that expectation and understanding in the beginning after they sign the contract and they're paying those reoccurring invoices.
So then when you say some of the people that work for your agency, they're doing this full time, but maybe just having multiple clients?
So it depends. I have some people who they work for Elevated Assist full time, and I have some people who might still have a 9 to 5 and they may have 1 or 2 clients. It just really depends. I mean, the overall goal, a lot of people, they want to be able to replace their 9 to 5 and just have the flexibility to just have multiple clients within the virtual assistant space. But that does take time for some people.
Gotcha.
I just want to reset the room real quick because we talking to a mogul right now, right? Like, the beautiful thing is, so like, you've inspired me. One of the things I learned years ago was like, all right, like when I came into the league, Ross, I don't know if I ever told you this. I came into the league, we were trying to build a high intensity interval training app. This is 2013. You know what I'm saying? I sound old. Back in my day, we was trying to build a high intensity interval training app called Fit Life.
That sounds familiar.
FHIIT Life. Yeah, we did some community stuff in New York. Me, Joe Holder, who we had on, my buddy Scott Lopano. And long story short, it was everybody's third thing on their list of to-dos, right? Everybody else had primary jobs, secondary things, and, it was like the back burner. So after that experience, I said, all right, well, let me try to put my time, effort, energy. I know I want that extra income, but I want to put it into something where I can look at a blueprint, make it my own, right? Like I can look at somebody else doing it, I can make it my own, I can find ways to make the business better. And so, the beautiful thing, like you said, you just started this business relatively recently, right? Like COVID, during the pandemic. And so now instead of you servicing clients, you are boss lady,
Boss
right?
shit.
Like,
Yeah.
so how do you view your business? Like, how do you view the trajectory of your business, things like that, right? Like, this is just there's only going to be more entrepreneurs. There's only going to be more startups, right? More than ever.
Absolutely.
So like when you think about the potential of your business, the growth, et cetera, right? Like, how do you, how, who are you going in? Are you talking to other people? Are you brainstorming? Is this all you? Like, take me through that a little bit.
So since I've scaled my business, so now I have virtual assistants that work under me. I now have other layers. So I have a director of client services that focuses on the overall engagement for my clients, and I now have an operations manager that focuses on the engagement of the virtual assistants on my team. What makes my virtual assistant business than most other virtual assistant businesses that you come across is that my VAs live in the United States. Most other agencies, most other virtual assistance companies that you'll come across, they'll be in the Philippines. So people that come to me, my clientele, they come to me because they want a virtual assistant that lives in the United States, but also they want to work with someone that looks just like them. So the way that we've set ourselves apart within this industry is just going to only grow and get better as we increase the overall exposure and increase our overall partnerships with people. So at the beginning of the year, I strategized with my operations manager and director of client services. And we're on track to do very, very well this year. I'll just say that.
Look, don't tell the IRS.
Really?
Don't tell the IRS. No, I'm messing.
Well, they gonna come for me
Cope be
regardless. I've
pocket
already
watching.
accepted
You got
that.
Cope always pocket watch.
That's what they do with it. NFL, they put it on Google. Go ahead. Sorry, we didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. So and just be mindful that the traction that I've made with my virtual assistant we've done no paid marketing. We've done no paid marketing for Elevated Assist to get clients. So when we think about incorporating paid marketing in different methods, I think that I know that we will, hit really, really good goals very, very quickly within our overall agency, just making the right partnerships and connecting with the right people.
So you brought up something that actually was going to probably be one of my next questions, and it was kind of about your competitors, because I have come across other people that utilize the VAs that are in the Philippines, right? And when you think about it, sometimes there's a language barrier. Obviously, there's a time barrier. So what would you say like your clients love about your service, your offerings?
Well, even though most of my clients don't live in Dallas, so my clients live a little bit of everywhere. For some reason, they still feel like there's this closeness because we still live in the United States versus having someone in the Philippines. Obviously, in the Philippines, it's going to be a lot cheaper. You can get a VA from $7 to $10 an hour. I'm gonna let you know right now, we don't work for $7 to $10 an hour, and there's no form will we ever be in that space. Again, we're offering that continuous communication. We don't have to worry about programs or worrying about the compatibility of certain programs or software. And then also the language barrier. We send a lot of emails. So our clients want to make sure we understand the language, we understand the culture of their audience, and the message is completely clear. Because a lot of the emails we're sending out, a lot of the content we're creating, a lot of the work we're doing, it drives their business. So they don't want to constantly bring someone in that may not understand their business, understand their language, understand their culture, and have to constantly explain those things. The entrepreneurs we work with, they are super, super busy. So all of the entrepreneurs that work with Elevated Assist, high 6-figure earners, high 7-figure earners. So they don't have time to be redundant and answer those small questions, which may come across from people who live in another country.
I love that. So I got a question, right? I'm an entrepreneur, right? And I think everyone could attest to it. When you are an entrepreneur, you're so used to wearing a ton of hats, right? And I think it's often you find it a little difficult to take a step back, because when you build a business, that's your baby, right? But there comes a point in time when you got to take a step back. In order for your baby to grow and thrive, you got to be able to take a step back and actually focus on other metrics of the business, right? And I've yet to truly be able to give my reins away. And I think I'm at that point. Well, I know I'm at that point where I need a VA, right? What do you say? How do you coach a person when it comes to first getting that VA? Like, okay, do we start small? Here are the trivial tasks. Here are the things that we could do to make you more efficient. Like, talk an entrepreneur through saying, okay, why you need this VA, and more importantly, what are the steps of actually giving away some of that autonomy, some of those tasks that you need someone else to potentially do.
And before
Absolutely.
you do
So
that,
just
Annalisa, I don't mean to interrupt, but listen, when you go ahead, let's get a client today. Let's get a new client today. Come on, Ross. Don't be
I
bullshit.
love it. I love it.
Let's get it.
So I was just talking to a group of people about this yesterday because I'll be honest with people. It's hard. It was hard for me to delegate in the beginning. It was very, very hard for me to delegate because Elevated Assist is my business, and is my baby. So I always tell people in the beginning, as an entrepreneur, write down everything, like everything within your business or even in your day-to-day personal things that you can delegate to a virtual assistant. You need to be transferring those things that are not providing any direct revenue, but that need to be done within your day-to-day or your business to your virtual assistant. What are things you don't have time to do? What are things you don't want to do? What are things you want to implement in your business, but you don't know how to do? You can hire a virtual assistant to that. You need to, I always tell people, because I had to have someone tell me this, you need to operate in your area of genius at all times. Especially a lot of the entrepreneurs that I'm talking to, they're in the six-figure, high six-figure. If you want to get to seven figures, you can't do the small tasks in your business. Do you own the business, or are you a business operator? Because those are two totally different things. So as a business owner that wants to be high level, you can't operate those mundane, redundant tasks. You can delegate those to a virtual assistant. So with the virtual assistant, you need to work on small ways you can build trust with them, because it needs to be a trusting relationship. And again, that's why most people come to Elevated Assist, because they feel like they can have that trusting experience because they live in the United States. It's just, people just get weary about a virtual assistant that lives in another country and not understanding how their business operates. So we create that trust by helping them delegate those small tasks, working to create SOPs within your business. So when you're about to onboard a virtual assistant, you need to write down not only the tasks that need to be completed, but how do you want them to be completed so they can have it done correctly? When I started within my virtual assistant business, I was like, y'all can't read my mind. Y'all don't know how I want stuff to be done. So I had to go back and redo work because I had realized as a leader, I wasn't giving them the right instruction to be successful in completing some of those tasks. So not only do you want to go through the process of eliminating some of your day-to-day tasks that you don't have time to do, you don't want to do, or you don't know how to do, but also how should some of these things be done within your business? That needs to be documented, that needs to be reviewed and given to your virtual assistant so they know how to do things correctly. But give them small tasks and then work their way up to more complex things within your business so they can prove they can do the small things and they're ready for the larger and more complex things within your business. So for me, within my business, it took me a while to give people access to like financial information within my business because I wanted to make sure they understood the small things. And I don't want to have to hire a new virtual assistant. And I'm talking about my personal virtual assistant, someone that helps us manage my social media, someone that helps manage my emails. I don't want to have to constantly hire that person. That person needs to almost be like a number two for me. So it took me a while to train them and for them to learn my business and my overall objective. So again, just to review, you have to make that list. You have to create those SOPs and how they want things to be done. But also you have to communicate and speak to them because they can't read your mind. So we always ask our clients generally at the beginning of the month, what's the goal for the month? So we can all be on the same page. And how can I help you get there? What's the goal for the week? How can I help you get there? So, because we want to make sure we're putting money back in your pocket. And that's generally the process that we go through for our clients. And this is especially for people who've never had a virtual assistant before. So it does take time for us to actually build this relationship and work very closely with them. So the process with the Elevated Assist, people book a call. We learn a little bit more about your business, what the everyday needs would be for the virtual assistant. We take that information back. We create a package, and then we do a secondary call where we put some general SOPs together pertaining to your business so that is prepared for the virtual assistant will pair you to. And then we generally do that in about a 14-day period. So before the virtual assistant starts working with you, they'll have some pretty basic SOPs pertaining to your business before they even get started.
SOPs stand for?
Standard operating procedures.
Procedures. Yeah, everybody don't know. I just Googled it. I had to make sure that I knew what I was talking about. I said, wait a minute.
How the hell you get through Wharton, boy? You know what? I'm ashamed.
Hey, man.
I'm ashamed.
Hey,
nah,
man.
I'm
I backdoored, man. I got in through the back door.